Are you looking for a great new recipe for stuffing this year? How about trying a cornbread stuffing? We have a great recipe. I'm gonna show you how to make it right now. The first thing that you need to do is cut up some bread. It's a combination of cornbread, which you can make yourself. We have a great recipe online, and white bread. First, I'm gonna start with the bread. I have 8 slices of white bread. Cut them up into 1/2-inch pieces. You could use stale bread, or you could do what I'm gonna do, which is dry it out in the oven. If your bread isn't stale, you have to staleify it to make good stuffing. So put the bread in an even layer on a baking sheet, and then do the same thing to your cornbread. This is an 8x8 baking dish of cornbread that I made, recipe on the website. You could totally buy some, cut it out, cut it into 1/2-inch cubes also, and then both of those are gonna get dried out in a 375-degree oven. All right, just spread the cornbread on another baking sheet. I'm gonna bake this on 2 baking sheets. I'd say this is about 8 cups. So if you're not gonna make your cornbread with our recipe, make sure you get something that will equal an equivalent of 8 cups. Make sure they're nice and even, and then they go into a 375-degree oven until they're nice and dry. That'll take about 15 minutes. Those little dry bits are gonna soak up all the stock and make a really delectable stuffing. All right, while those bake, you can get the rest of your stuffing ingredients ready. What am I adding to this? Bacon, my favorite ingredient. You need 4 pieces of bacon. All right, now the bacon gets cooked in a skillet. Skillet doesn't need to be too big. If you would like to make this dish vegetarian, leave the bacon out, and instead of using chicken stock later when I add the stock, use vegetable stock. This needs to cook for about 5 minutes until the fat is rendered and it gets a little crispy. So while that's happening, I'm gonna ABP over here and cut up some veg. Dice up 1 medium onion. You could add more onion if you want, like really amp up the flavor. Go ahead and use 2. I'm gonna use 2 cloves of garlic. You can use 4. I'm gonna use 2 things of celery. You could use 4, whatever you want. I'm keeping it simple here though. That bacon adds so much flavor that you really don't need to add a ton of vegetable flavor. 2 cloves of garlic. Mince these guys up. That bacon is sizzling. I'm gonna give it a stir so it cooks evenly and doesn't burn on the bottom of the pan. Oh man, it smells so good in here. I bet in about 5 minutes, 15 people are gonna wander by and be like, hey, what you doing in there? Bacon brings them in like in hordes. Back over here in the vegetable land, I'm gonna cut up 2 stalks of celery. Trim the ends of the celery stalks off and then cut them up into pieces. I can't really remember if they're supposed to be sliced or diced, so I'm dicing them, but you can slice them. Alrighty. The bacon's cooked enough, so it's time to add the vegetables. The garlic, the onion, and the celery can all go in at once. Just start that cooking and you can chop up some fresh sage. You're gonna need a tablespoon of fresh sage. If you don't have fresh sage, you could replace it with dry, use about a teaspoon. And then that can go right in with your sauteing vegetables. Just stir in your sage. The veg need to be translucent, which they are, and so we're ready to turn that off. I wanna chop up some parsley though before we start mixing anything. Just shave the leaves off of the big stems and then chop up the parsley. Make sure it's clean because gritty parsley is hideous and ruins any dish that you add it to. But make sure it's dry because wet parsley is almost as bad as dirty parsley. Okay, now we can assemble it. Take a nice big bowl. This bowl is the biggest bowl that I have, so I'm hoping that it's close to big enough. Add 2 eggs. You want to whisk these eggs lightly. Whisk the eggs. Get them all nice and broken up. Then you can add your vegetables. So add your veg, stir them in. You might want to let them sit just a couple minutes before you add to the egg so it doesn't cook. And then your parsley. And then it's time for the bread. Nice and golden. All right, and they can go right into the bowl. It'll probably fit, but it just might be a little difficult. Hopefully the largest bowl in your house is large enough. You have to have a special 1-time-a-year bowl for making stuffing. Add 2 3/4 cups of chicken stock. If you're trying to keep it vegetarian, use veg stock. And I do like to start off with about 2 cups of the stock, stir it up, see how moist it is, and then add the remaining stock if I feel like it needs it. You don't want it to be soggy, but you do want everything nicely moistened. Season it with salt and pepper, and then you want to let it sit for about 5 minutes just to absorb the moisture, stir it once more, and then it's ready to go into your turkey, or you can put it into a baking dish, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a 9x13. If you were stuffing your turkey, you'd probably only have enough left over for an 8x8. Pour it into your dish. It's so good, really. The great thing about using the combination of the regular bread and the cornbread is the regular bread really holds its shape and gets kind of crunchy and like textury in there, and the cornbread disintegrates into crumbs, giving a fabulous contrast of textures. I really like it. Bake this off at 375 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. It's gonna get nice and golden brown on top and a little bit crunchy. Are you ready for the great reveal, the great stuffing reveal of 2012? Ta-da! Look how golden that got. Let's pretend you didn't see me close that oven door with my foot, okay? It's gorgeous. It smells like Thanksgiving. I think this would be a great accompaniment to any turkey, any time of year. Because there's bacon in it.